Yo, what up, Street Dogs? This is Eric Kim. So, I'm like really getting into statues lately, like this guy here. So, why statues and when am I so interested in them? So, the basic gist is I think when it comes to statues, I kind of love it because it's kind of a unique opportunity to reflect and meditate on, humanity, false notions of immortality, and knowing that, practically speaking, you're gonna die. And, there's actually like Rodin, who I really like, and there's so many sculptors I like because long after the artists and the people are dead, the sculpture actually remains. So, maybe you guys start buying people's sculptures or bronze statues for presents. But anyways, so what I find interesting is with a statue or a sculpture, you're essentially deifying the human form. Is that you look at the human form, you're like, this is the most beautiful thing, the human body, much more beautiful than any sports car, any house, any something. And I think it's a good idea to deify the human form and to use the human form as like the golden standard for all aesthetic beauties, because where do we typically go wrong is that we start to deify objects rather than human beings. Because if you had options, certainly human beings are far more beautiful than objects. And even when I think about vase design or car design, you see like a lot of it is kind of like curved. And even when people look at Porsche cars or Ferraris, whatever, and there's like, oh, look at the curves on that, and then they talk about the cars like kind of like some sort of like sexual object, which is kind of interesting because you're essentially anthropomorphizing a car or anything to imitate a female body, to imitate a male body, whatever it may be. And so I would actually encourage to do the opposite, where you start to think about the human body as the apex, and you think less about other silly things like objects and cars and stuff. So even my recent epiphany was, rather than desiring to buy a Lamborghini or whatever, far more interesting probably to transform your own body into a Lamborghini or whatever. And also like even something I'm getting very interested in is like kind of doing more like 3D design, like doing sculpture, Google's Tilt Brush and stuff like that, augmented reality, virtual reality, because I think with our creativity, we don't want to be too basic with just photography and visual arts where it's just flat, one plane. Obviously real life is far more interesting and complex, and I think the most realized artist is the one who could deal with the complexity of earthing and could figure out how to augment his or her modes of artistic expression. So even shooting video has been hugely beneficial to me, because with video, it kind of affords me the unique opportunity to think more critically about the world around me, to even treat artworks like people as artworks and not just things, And to me, this is actually a very optimistic, motivational thought, because a world in which we deify objects and we disregard humanity is just kind of a more boring world. So some general thoughts is I encourage you to visit more like statue gardens. Statue gardens are awesome. I was actually at Stanford like a year ago, and I went to the statue garden at Stanford. I love that. And yeah, just being able to just like look at everything. I mean, even doing video, probably my primary benefit and enjoyment in doing video. Look at the nice little curve there. It's actually not even so much like enjoying, video for video's sake or getting a bunch of clicks or whatever, because I don't optimize any of my videos for that. But it's more of like, how can I use the video camera or video in general to augment my modes of creative expression. So even like if you see this epic tree going through or this spiral staircase, it's really difficult to explain and show the epicness of this just via the still photos. It's far more interesting and important to show this via, you know, doing video. Like even these like super fun uber low angles, like that's actually one thing that I've been learning through watching a lot of film and cinema, especially my best friend Michael Bay from Transformers, is there's so much more things of interest we could do with hyper weird angles and stuff like that, rather than just thinking about the basic head-on shots and stuff like that. So generally this is where action films are good, because it allows us to experiment with shapes and forms and stuff like that. Ooh, kind of scary. So yeah, just kind of have fun with it, you know, kind of fuck around with it. Don't take none of this too seriously. Go exploring, go wandering, and know that life is a beautiful adventure.